As we always do, and evaluated the game from Saturday night, and I come in here and it's the same thing. You guys have watched it, and everyone's watched it, and there's really one issue that we've had that is something we haven't been able to fix yet, and that's our run game. We're playing good defense, we're throwing the ball well, but we're not running it well. And when you can't run the ball, it's tough to do anything consistent on offense. So we've looked at it very, very, very carefully, like we always do. We think we've identified some things that we can do that can help us have more success running the football, which hopefully will help us throw the ball more effectively. Hopefully it'll help us give the offense or the defense better field position, increase our time of possession, do those types of things that can give us a better chance of winning. So moving forward, we'll implement some things that'll be just, a little bit different. I obviously don't want to talk about them. We've looked at personnel, we've looked at scheme, we've looked at the way we teach it, we look at what we emphasize, the words that we use, the things that we say, and hopefully, we've come to a point where we're able to get it fixed. But it's an obvious understatement to say that it's not acceptable and that it hasn't been good. I mean, it's as bad as I've ever seen. That's our issue. I think it all kind of comes down to that. Certainly, we had some other things that went well the other night, and things that didn't do well. We didn't punt the ball as well as we would have liked. We didn't cover the two kickoffs as well as we'd like. We did some things really well. Mike, was courageous, and he stood in there. And at the end of the game, he did a nice job getting us into the end zone. For the fifth week in a row, we played really, really good defense against a team that is very explosive. And they came into the game, they were ranked 9th in scoring offense, 9th in total offense, 2nd in pass offense, and kept them out of the end zone, throwing the football, held them way under their average in all those things, under some really extreme conditions in terms of field position for our defense. So if we can just keep building on the things that we're doing well defensively, find a way to run the football, then we can get this thing turned around and going in the right direction. But it all starts with being able to run the football. And like I said, it's so obvious to everyone, it just sounds redundant for me to stand here and say it. But any questions?
With the run game, do you feel like we'll see, not knowing the results, but do you feel like we'll watch the run game and say, wow, that's really different? These will be big changes? I
don't think so. No, I think hopefully what you see is you go, oh, look, they're running the football better. There's only so many things you can do. It comes down to a lot of times, putting a guy in a guy and moving him out of the way, and we haven't done that on a consistent basis. But we've got to find ways to help our young men. It's not enough to just say, well, it's not working. You have to fix it. I don't think, though, Ben, that you'll go, well, you'll say that is drastically different. I think that maybe teams that play us will say they're doing things a little bit differently, but nothing that is that obvious. It's kind of what we emphasize and how we teach it. And like I said, what we say and how we say it, and we're gonna just continue to search for the best answers.
How close did Josh come to playing in that game?
I think he was pretty close. He really wanted to play. At 1:30, we walked over to an intramural field at University of Idaho and did a walkthrough out in the, outside, and went through some situations. And he took all the snaps with the offense. We kind of do a game simulation. I was very hopeful that he would play. He went out on the field and in pregame, pre-pregame, we go out and warm up, and he just wasn't able to go. So, but I think he was pretty darn close. So I'm very, very hopeful, because you follow. I'm very, very hopeful that you'll see him playing this Saturday against Utah.
When you talk about the changes with running the ball, are these types of things that you've considered doing the past couple of weeks and just weren't ready to pull the trigger on, or is it something new that you saw this week that makes you?
No, that's a fair question, because when I talk about changing, it sounds like a complete overhaul. As a coach, you're always adapting, you're always changing, you're always trying different things when something is stalled, like our run game is. So it's not like we've just been stubborn and said, well, we're not going to do this, we're not going to try that. We're always trying things. But this is trying something new, a little bit of a departure maybe from what we've been doing. And not that we've been stubborn, but it's just a little bit different. You always, every week it's amazing. Whether you do well or you do poorly, you go back and you look at things really, really hard and you make adjustments. This one's just a little bit more significant for us.
One follow-up on Josh.
Sure.
Was he kind of medically cleared, and then it was like a matter of pain and his tolerance level, or how did that kind of?
You know what? It was a matter of he was medically cleared if he could do certain things, and when he went out in pregame, he couldn't do those things. And my hope is that by tomorrow he'll feel good enough that he can go out and practice, and do a little bit more, and that as we go through the week on Saturday, he'll be able to play. But look, whether Josh plays or not, we still have to be able to run the football to help Josh, to help Mike, to help whoever's back there taking snaps. That's the key thing. So, I'm proud of the way we're sticking together as a team. I'm proud of the way our defense answers the bell over and over again. I'm proud of the way that, I've been in these situations when I've coached my whole life and been around it my whole life, and not coached most of my life, been around it my whole life, and you don't go through this business unscathed. I mean, you get beat up. It's just, every coach can tell you that. And so I've been in a lot of situations where one side's been struggling or one aspect's been struggling, and there's been times you've been on teams where you see finger pointing and dissension, and these guys, they're not going to do that. As a matter of fact, it was really incredible yesterday to me how many guys reached out via phone call, text, or just in person to say, what can I do? What can I do? Tell me what I can do. I want to be part of the solution. How do I help? Rather than pointing the finger. And so that's encouraging. So, hopefully we start to show signs of improvement in that area, running the football.
Quisenberry kind of limped off the field late. Did he come out all right?
Yeah, he came right back in and has had no effects, not on the injury report or anything like that. So I think he just, I think he got stepped on or kicked, but it's nothing serious. Nate Metters didn't play again because of the groin. Hopefully, we didn't bring him on a trip. Hopefully he'll be back this week. We could use him. He's a good player.
Colton, is there any update with him?
Colton's doing better. Yeah, they'll do an x-ray here in the next day or two, and we'll find out how far away he is. So hopefully we get him back quickly. I don't know that we'll get him back this week, but hopefully we get him back quickly. You saw that we made a move and put Josh Waraboko in there for some snaps, got him some significant snaps at left guard. It's good for him to get some time. Of course, Kenny Lacy got time there as well. And I'm trying to think who else. We had to mix and match in the secondary now. Guys were getting dinged up. Marcus Rios got dinged up a little bit. Fabian got dinged up a little bit, but it came back. One guy I would love to point out for you that has done an amazing job back there is Randall Goforth. I mean, he practices at safety, then he goes and starts at corner 2 weeks ago. Then this week, he starts at corner. Then we have to move him to nickel when Marcus gets hurt, and Johnny Johnson comes in and did a nice job. So, Coach Meat and that group are doing an excellent job of just kind of putting it together and playing really good pass defense. So
Was Randall practicing at corner this past week without Nate in practice?
he was, and then he played corner, but then he had to move into nickel at a certain point. He played corner for a while, but then we moved him into nickel when Marcus went down. Octavius Spencer, who'd kind of been practicing as a backup, we put him in there, and he played a ton, more than he's played all year. That's a deep group. The guy that is like, that do everything is Randall, and then Darius Pickett. The guy doesn't get enough credit for being the kind of football player he is. He can do everything for us. He plays nickel, he plays dime, he plays safety. He's on all our kick return stuff, kickoff stuff. He's a good football player. But that group, the linebackers, the D-line, the defense in general, I love the way we're playing. I love where we're headed. I love their attitude. I love the way they're accepting the challenge and the confidence that they're playing with. And we're going to need to continue to play that way. The thing that will help us is if we could just generate some points off the turnovers. We've gotten some takeaways. you know, we've saved some points, but I'd like to generate some points.
JJ didn't take an extra point, was there a reason for that, I believe? Or what?
He did take the last 2 extra points.
But there was one he didn't, I think.
The first one.
Okay.
Yeah, I made a decision to open up competition at that position this week between JJ and Andrew. Just felt like that would help both of them. You know, JJ had missed a couple field goals that, you know, we would like to see him make. And I know that JJ is a young man that responds very, very well to a challenge and to competition. I know that Andrew is an incredibly competitive young man. So competitive that when JJ kicks in practice, Andrew oftentimes turns his back not to watch it. Not out of disrespect to JJ, because they're very good friends, but he just doesn't want to see it. He just wants to compete. And that's going to be the way it continues in the kicking game is, you know, those guys are both going to get chances, and they both deserve chances. But, you know, that's a position where we want to develop more consistency. You know, our punter, Austin, he struggled the other night. Guy, you know, I told him this morning in front of the team that, you know, he stepped on that field. I think you guys remember the first day of training camp when he started booming, and we're all like, hey, we got a guy that can really rocket those punts. He's hit he's a freshman, he's hit a little rough spot here. We're gonna do some things to try to help him, you know, so. But mostly for us, well, not mostly, almost exclusively right now, it's getting our run game going, and if we do that, I think it helps our team in general. And it's disappointing to me, you know, that I feel like I've let people down by not being able to get it going. But I've also been in these situations before, many times, coached a lot of football games, and, you know, there's not always an immediate fix. You know, you have to work through and you have to find a win. I know it's frustrating for our fans, and believe me, it's equally frustrating for us. So hang in there, and you'll still see some good football.
What stands out about Utah?
Well, I hate to say it, because it's their physicality up front on defense. You know, I mean, they really play hard. They've got an outstanding defensive line, really good, and good linebackers. They got a good secondary. They play well on defense. You know, offensively, they've done an excellent job running the football, especially considering the fact that, you know, their running back situation has been in a state of flux a little bit. You know, they've lost some really good players. They've had some injuries. They've had some guys come back. I think Troy's doing a nice job at quarterback of managing their offense the way they like to do it. You know, he throws the ball effectively. He runs the ball effectively. He's a local guy. He's going to come home and get a start here, so I'm sure he'll be really motivated. You know, he's a guy we recruited. He chose to go to Washington. They transferred to Utah. But they're just very, very solid. You know, they keep people out of the end zone.
All right, thanks, guys.
Okay.